Good morning, everyone. It's Yvonne here to do your What's Cracking reading. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for those who've subscribed to the Aussie Goddess Astro Tarot. If you're looking for star sign readings, they're all over there. Somebody did mention to me the other day they couldn't find a particular reading, so I pasted it underneath their comment if you're looking for something. I want to just say thank you to the person who watched Eat, Pray, Love too. Like I said the other day, I've watched the movie a few times, but this time around it really resonated with me on a lot deeper level. And I'd only finished saying to somebody a couple of days before when I was doing a personal reading, sometimes we're just not ready to hear things. Sometimes it's like speaking another language to people. They just aren't ready to hear what they need to hear. And some people get quite defensive if you challenge that. It's just a journey that's different for every one of us. Wherever you are on your journey is okay. It's a good thing. But sometimes you'll hear things and they won't mean anything. And a little bit further down the track, you're like, I really understand what that means now. Maybe you were not ready to understand before. I always liken it to when I was doing university and I would get my pack through. And I'd sort of be glancing through it and it'd say in there, here are your assignments. And it would say, do an assignment on blah, blah, blah. And I would look at it and think, oh my goodness, that just sounds so complicated and so hard. But yet by the time I got round to doing that assignment, I would have the knowledge I needed to be able to perform, an essay or an assignment, whatever it was. And I just feel that sometimes we get a little hard on ourselves if we don't understand something. We may get a little anxious because we're not where we want to be. But really, like I always say, it's like peeling back an onion. And if you haven't peeled one layer, it's very difficult to understand the next layer. It's like anything. So if you're, on the journey and you feel like sometimes you're listening to things and they don't resonate, maybe they just weren't meant to resonate at that time. Maybe that's just the way it is. All right, we're going to use the Ethereal Tarot for your reading, which is the deck that looks like that. And we're starting off with the World card. So I love these cards, but they're absolutely just really shiny and hard to find that sweet point. There we go. So the World card talks about something closing out. I always say when you look at the tarot, there are minor arcanas, there are major arcanas, and there is in the major arcana as well as the minor arcana, there is a journey. So let's just say with the major arcana, it starts off with the Fool. It starts off with you starting something brand new. You know nothing about the journey at that point in time. So it is about taking a leap of faith. And for all of us, that's what it's about, isn't it? Taking on something new, not really knowing where you're going, but trusting the way you're going. And it works its way through to the Judgment and then the World card. And the World card talks about completion. So when we've been through all the lessons of that particular journey, we close it off, we learn from it, we put it down. But what we can do is we can go through that journey and double back sometimes. Like I just said, you may sort of totter along thinking you're doing, extremely well on whatever it is you're doing. See, this was a job or romance, anything, whatever the lesson is you're learning. And you may sort of get to a certain point in that journey and think, I missed something, or I didn't learn that, or I need to go back and repeat it because it didn't really work for me. So you go back a little way and you do more. And the idea is when you reach the end of that cycle that you have learned all the lessons that were contained within. So if you ever had a look at the major arcana, if you lay them out, you can see the story and how it goes. So when we see the World card, it means that there are lessons that we've learned here. Sometimes it can sort of give this energy of a completion. It can give the energy of a cycle you've been going through, like I just said, of repeating a pattern. but it can also sort of mean, if we take it into the logical world, that you're managing a trip, that you're going somewhere. Sometimes it can talk about overseas. Sometimes it comes across as the internet. So it sort of like has a lot of, I guess, earthly meanings as well as spiritual meanings. So when it comes out for me, it very often means we've completed something that maybe we've been trying to complete for a while. Sometimes it could mean that you're completing a relationship or a job, but in this particular instance, it makes me feel like you've learned something. You've it's like you've pulled something together, like I just said, that maybe you've been looking at for a while and it hasn't made any sense, and now it does. So let's keep going. All right, we have the Empress behind there. Wow, okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is, maybe for some of you, this is really learning about who you are. Sometimes we teeter through life becoming what people think we should be. You know, sometimes we have families who sort of mold us into what they think we should be rather than allowing us to be independent. So in this particular instance, I feel, I guess, you know, like sometimes you get that feedback from other people. And when I see the Empress, I feel like somehow or another, you may have got some sort of feedback or some sort of insight into something you've been trying to learn for a while that perhaps has been either difficult for you to absorb or difficult for you to understand. Now, I'm not saying people are, you know, not in that space, because for some people, they may be further back or further down the track. We're all in a different space. Sometimes we can relate to each other really well if we're in a similar place. But for many people, you know, you may have only just started your healing journey. I meet people who are extremely young who are already so self-aware. This here makes me feel, with the Empress here, that maybe you've discovered something about yourself, or you've brought something of yourself to the surface that you weren't able to see before, because you're letting go of something here with that World card. Yeah, we have the Nine of Swords. Maybe it's just as simple as learning to work with your own anxiety. Maybe it's just as simple as learning to really understand what it is you want. I think the biggest indicator of this is when you come out of an abusive relationship and you've forgotten who you are. You're so used to being what the other person wants from you, and you self-serve, you do. This is that people-pleasing thing. So you keep doing what other people want you to do rather than really doing what you want to do. And this became a real problem for me, because I remember sort of talking to someone about it and thinking, but I don't really mind. I'm quite happy to go with the flow. I'm quite happy to go with what other people want. And somebody says, but what about what you want? And I'd be like, I don't really mind. I don't really know. I don't mind, you know. Big example is when, you know, everybody's talking about getting takeaway and everybody's saying, like, let's eat pizza. And you sit there and you think, I don't really feel like pizza, but everybody else is getting pizza, so I'm just going to go with the flow. But what starts to happen is you forget. You forget what it is you want, and you become what everybody, you just sort of mold into everything. You sort of blend. And you really think you don't mind. I just thought I didn't mind. But now I'm different. Now I stop and I can think and I can say to myself, what do I want here? Because I don't want to always be having what everybody else wants. Sometimes I want what I want, and if nobody else wants that, that's cool. I don't have a problem. So I have this anxiety card here, and I have the Three of Cups coming through with the Emperor. So we have the Emperor and the Empress, and we have the Tower, oh boy, and the Magician. All right, that's very clear to see. This is very much about understanding how to take your power back. So maybe you've got a little bit blended into your surroundings. Maybe you're in a relationship where you've become part of rather than an individual piece. You have the game of chess rather than the king or queen. So what started to happen is you're starting to blend with everything else rather than being able to say, is this what I want? And, you know, the anxiety of that is as you start to become more aware of yourself, those things are going to change for you. And what you wanted here or thought you wanted back here is no longer the same going forward. And that's okay. So I talked about briefly in the last few days about people who've chosen careers that have been something now that they don't want. So when people are talking about their lives, I always say to them, are you still happy in your career? Because sometimes we can become so entrenched in what we're doing that we forget maybe we don't want to be that person anymore. Maybe we want to change, and that change is difficult. Finding yourself is one of the hardest things. And one of my friends said to me not so long ago, you know, some of us don't find ourselves till we're, you know, quite a long way around the age moving on. Some of us are way into our age before we really understand what we want, because we're so busy looking after the other people in our lives. So if you've been raising a family, if you've been doing a career and you've been a bit of a workaholic, which is a trauma response, by the way, whatever it is for you, I feel like it's now time to really look at what you want, not what you think you need, or what you think everybody else wants you to be. What do you want? Sit with yourself for a while and ask yourself, am I where I need to be? And what do I want in my life? All right, let's move on. So I have the Seven of Wands coming through. I feel like I know where the message. Look, there's the Fool. I knew it was coming. All right, Six of Cups. So for some of you, this is going right back to go and collecting 200. Two of Pentacles here. So how to move forward when you're in that energy? You've completed a cycle. Perhaps you've started to awaken in a way that's different to what you've sort of awoken before. And the awakening is a process, not a one-off event. If you get a one-off event, it's usually the beginning of a process. So I see here, it's really interesting because the Seven of Wands makes me feel like you're trying to stop. You're trying to understand how to let go of the old part. And you're really working at how can I jump into the new part. This to me like is life again, like starting a new career or starting a new job. So in life, you're doing the same thing. You're sitting with yourself and you're trying to understand here, what is it I want in my life moving forward? And like I said, a friend of mine said to me not so long ago, she's been doing a lot of self-work, and she said to me, I'm really not sure who I am anymore, because once you start making the changes, you're trying to discard yourself, just excuse me, or let go of the old. But it's hard to find the new if you've never really understood what that means for you. And that really is part of your childhood healing. And it is coming up here with the Six of Cups. And I feel like here, this is you sort of tossing about with the old and the new, trying to understand what feels comfortable for you. It's the simplest of things. Maybe you just want to change your image. Maybe people have said to you, oh, you can't wear that, it doesn't suit you, or you can't wear that, you're too old. I love that one. You can't do that because of this, or you can't. So we live in life with these sort of incredibly stringent rules all the time, you know, what we can and can't do. Obviously, if it's illegal or immoral or one of those things, we understand that. We do. But I'm talking about the little things we want to do. The ones that say things like, you know, oh, if you're over 60, you shouldn't wear short skirts because you have baggy knees. Who gives a hoot about baggy knees? We all have baggy bits. We all have good bits. We have pieces we love and pieces we don't. That's okay. It doesn't make any difference. It's only us that has to put up with it. We're very socialized, really, to be ageist. So I guess for some of you, I'll be talking about people who are sort of a little bit longer into their journey. But it doesn't mean that you can't be 20 and be making decisions on your own behalf. Somebody said to me the other day, but my parents always make the decisions. I'm like, you're not 3 anymore. This is time for you to make your own decisions now. That's codependency, big time. You don't need to rely on other people to make those decisions for you. You're an adult, and you should be encouraged, even as a sort of older child, to start making your own decisions as well. So for me here, this is very much about you wanting to take the leap of faith, learning how to let go of the old and embrace yourself. And for some of you, this would definitely mean that you need to go back to your inner child here, because I see you trying to work between the two energies, understanding which one is better for you. All right, so we have the King of Cups coming through here. Oh, there it is, right in the middle of the reading, the beautiful Ace of Swords. She never lets me down. There's a truth here. Oh my goodness, and we're following it up with the Ace of Wands. Wow. All right, I almost want to go again. Look, Wheel of Fortune. We're going to be hit really big. There it is, the Lovers. There's a choice that needs to be made here. And we have the Hanged Man at the end. So we're looking at a very potent reading with a lot of major arcanas and aces in it. This is a significant change for many of you. A significant change. I want to say change of direction, but it doesn't quite feel like a change of direction. It's a change in you. It's a way to see things differently. Now, all of a sudden here, for some reason, there seems to be a choice being thrown at you from the universe. Some sort of choice here, which wants to take you in a brand new direction. But the direction isn't like a change on your path. It's not like you want to move house, although that could be part of it. It's you. It's about you seeing yourself as whole and complete and individual in a world that encourages you to be like others. And being like others is not either a bad thing, but it can't be everything. But this is the universe saying to you here, it's time to let go of this old version of yourself that suited you for so long, but no longer makes you feel good about who you are. And this is about taking up a truth and moving in a brand new direction. Now, what I love here is this King of Cups, because for me, the King of Cups can represent a person. So maybe for some of you, it is about letting go of a relationship that perhaps has, I almost want to say, done its time. It could be about that. But to me, this is about absolutely understanding who you are at that really deep level. Understanding who you represent, but loving yourself anyway. So forgiving yourself for the things you've done that perhaps haven't put you where you are. You can't go back and sort of say, well, okay, I'm moving on and I'm doing it because it was their fault, because of this and their fault. You don't do that. You let go. You let go of the past. You forgive anybody that's held you back. And I always say you're not forgiving it for them. You've never forgiven it for other people. That forgiveness is for you. And very often you need to forgive yourself too for conforming in the way you have. And I don't mean, like I said, just normal conformation. I'm talking about this conforming to what other people expect of you. And I feel like here it's so important that you let go of the old and start with the new. And I almost feel like for some of you, this will be letting go of a lot of things. A lot of things. Not feeling sorry for them either. You know, if you've got a problem with your own codependency, you'll be sitting there saying, well, I can't let them go. It will hurt them. What would they do without me? Like, I can't leave them. How can I leave them? They would never be able to cope with that. That's codependency. When you put other people's needs above your own, then you've got some sort of issue in recognizing your own value. All right, let's pull out the card. Ooh, it's pretty cute. The Bodacious Bodash, or something he's called there. Let's have a look at him. He's 59. He's very cute. trepidatious bodash, meddling, tampering, sabotage, helping, fixing, order. Are you a fixer? All right, let's see what he says. Someone somewhere is meddling uninvited in the issue. It may be you, it may be someone else. See if you can work out who it is and begin to untangle the messy web they have woven of confusion and disorder and misunderstanding. I feel like this is representing you. Maybe somehow or another you have always made excuses like I did, or always thought about things in a very different way to what you're thinking about them now. I feel that you may have been self-sabotaging yourself. It may be that you have woven a web of deceit around who you are. The sabotage is coming. This sabotage is coming from your own. That's that dichotomy with the Two of Pentacles. It's this is who I used to be and this is who I am, and trying to work out which way to go. But maybe for some of you, you may sabotage that by thinking it's too hard or it's not right or it's socially unacceptable. And I feel that's what it's reminding you of. I feel like it's really important here to understand that you've maybe made this sort of place for yourself that you feel is safe, and this is asking you to get out of that comfort zone and make changes with yourself. I'll leave it with you. Thank you.